You got two teams coming off a loss, but two teams that looked very different in their losses. Let's preview Maryland and Michigan State. You asked me last week of the results, or what I thought the results would be of the Michigan State game and the Maryland game, and then what actually happened in those games. I think it's kind of flip-flopped. I thought Michigan State, Minnesota would be a close one-possession type of game, and I thought Michigan might boat race Maryland. But in the end, it was the opposite, where Maryland played to a close one-possession loss at Michigan, and Michigan State got the doors beaten off of them by Minnesota. All right, let's break this one down. Maryland's offense, if Taulia Tagovailoa and Raheem Jarrett are healthy and are good enough to go, they could have a heyday against this Michigan State defense and specifically their secondary. Michigan State has carried over those past defense issues from last season to this season. It happened against Michael Penix against Washington. It happened with Tanner Morgan at Minnesota as well. Maryland matches up really well in this game, right? Their wide receivers, the number of them and their talent is a lot better than Michigan State in the secondary. If Taulia Tagovailoa has time to throw the football, like he did against Michigan, I tweeted it, I pointed it out. I really thought the reason Maryland kind of hung in there was because of their good offensive line and their good pass protection. If they can replicate that, and if they can do that against a lesser front in Michigan State, Maryland could have a really good time in College Park, and the Maryland offense could really pitch it around for a lot of yards. One thing I've seen early on from the Maryland Terrapins, this is a balanced offense. This is a team that has a threat of a running game now. Right, if I look at what they're going up against this front, look at what Minnesota did last year. Now given, Minnesota has the best running back in the Big Ten, and they might have one of the best offensive lines in the Big Ten. But they were able to run it. They were able to be very balanced against Michigan State. I look at a guy like Roman Hemby in this offense, and he's been known so far this season to bust off really big runs. I believe Michigan State is susceptible. Michigan State is susceptible when it comes to their matchup against Maryland in a lot of ways. Maryland matches up really, really good on offense against the Michigan State defense. Now, if Michigan State can't cover, and they've had problems in coverage, Mel Tucker said it at his post-game press conference against Minnesota, right? And he also said something else. He also said, we can't rush the passer as well. If you can't cover, a lot of times, we got to get pressure on the passer so the quarterback can't be comfortable, so he can't get the ball out in time, right? And if he can't do that, and if you can't get a pass rush, what can you do on defense if you're Michigan State? Not looking good in terms of the matchup for Sparty. Now, when Michigan State has the football, they have not been able to run the ball, right? These last two games against the Washington defense and against the Minnesota defense has not gone well. Now, Maryland did look better, I think, than anticipated against Michigan in some areas on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe the rush defense wasn't one of them when Blake Corum goes over 200 yards. Okay, Michigan State, you know that you need to run the ball to be successful. Peyton Thorne can't do it by himself. That's been proven the last 2 weeks. This is a team that needs to run the ball if they want to be successful for a couple of reasons against Maryland. One, you've proven you need to run the ball to be a balanced offense, to open things up for your passing attack, and you need to try to keep the ball out of the hands of that prolific and explosive Maryland offense. I believe this is a ball control type of game for Michigan State. That's how Michigan State can escape College Park with a victory. They can control time of possession, take advantage. You need to score touchdowns. You can't kick field goals. Will it happen? I think Michigan State can have a decent day on offense. I think this is, out of the last 3 weeks or so, this might be the best day that they have on the offensive side of the ball. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I saw an interesting tweet earlier this week I thought was very interesting and very appropriate for what's going on right now with the Michigan State Spartans. It said, Kenneth Walker got Mel Tucker paid. And if you could deep dive that and you can make a couple of videos, you can make a series of videos off of that. But I think Kenneth Walker really disguised some of the issues of Michigan State football. Remember, Michigan State won a lot of close games last year, and it's kind of going the opposite way this season. Maybe not the close games, but a lot of other things are going the opposite way for Michigan State this season. Coming into the year, I thought Peyton Thorne was underrated, and I still think he's underrated, and maybe for good reason. Peyton Thorne has proven to me that once again, you bring it back to Kenneth Walker. It was the running game of Kenneth Walker that took the pressure off of Peyton Thorne, and a lot of defenses crept into the box because they knew the talent that Kenneth Walker was. And now, this year, Peyton Thorne has proven he ain't the guy that can go out and beat you. Right? And that's what Maryland has to key on. We need to make Peyton Thorne beat us. Because if you rely on Peyton Thorne, you're going to be a 500 team. That's just how it is right now at Michigan State. That's what Maryland has to do. Maryland's got a blueprint. It happened the last 2 weeks. Stop the run, you win the game. Especially when you got an offense that you do on the other side of the coin, on the other side of the ball for the Maryland Terrapins. This is a big game for the Maryland Terps because, man, they've had some big games the last couple of years, and Taulia Tagovailoa hasn't showed up in those big games. He's turned the football over, thrown interceptions, very turnover prone in those big games. Look at last week where he threw 2 interceptions. Taulia Tagovailoa has got to take care of the ball. Big time game atmosphere for this game against Michigan State. Or for Maryland, I should say. Because Michigan State isn't a great team. And even if Maryland wins, TBD on if that is a big win this season. But this is a big time game for Maryland if they want to be respected going forward. Because Michigan State might be a little bit down, and this is the time for Maryland to capitalize. Mike Locksley has said he doesn't believe in moral victories. And look, you're not going to take any victories away if you can't beat Michigan State, especially how they're playing right now this season. I really like Maryland in this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think both teams could have a good day offensively. But this is a big chance for Maryland to prove that they belong as one of the better teams in the Big Ten Conference. I want to hear your thoughts on this matchup between Sparty and Maryland. Leave your thoughts, comment below. Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we will see you in the next one.